the 9 Serie A transfers that we think are worth talking about. We've got a World Cup winner, guys, amongst other maybe future stars in the league. Let's start with Dan. Tell us a name.
Jamie Vardy.
Okay, is the name that on the tip of everyone's lips in Cremona.
Indeed. It's 38, so, not in his prime, perhaps, but what a signing. It's a great signing for Cremonese.
Still got the pace.
It's got the pace. He's
9
got
goals in
9 goals
Premier
last
League.
season in the Premier League. He scored 18 in the Championship 2 seasons ago. He's going to get goals in Italy, I reckon. And he's just got a sort of like fox in the box. Well, not pun intended.
The pun, of course. But actually, a couple of people on our socials, we put up a short that went out about Vardy, and a couple of people, one of them saying 14 goals he's going to get, which I think is ambitious.
It's
Another
very
one,
specific.
20 goals.
That's
Very pushing
ambitious.
it.
Now, surely 20 goals would have Cremonese maybe in Europa League contention,
Yeah.
surely. So that's ambitious, but that's what we want to see, the optimism at this stage of the season. Well, look, he's joining a side that is top of the table. Cremonese, top of Serie A. They only came 4th in Serie B last year, but they beat Milan, beaten Sassuolo, scored 5 goals.
Yeah.
So he's coming into a team with a lot of firepower. Davide Nicola obviously saw something in him. They get some other good signings, but Vardy, very, very good signing. Very good pick there.
Yeah.
Emmet?
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, he'll be very good on the counter-attack. Obviously a lot of space to run into with his pace, and teams will obviously attack Cremonese, so he will be a threat running behind on the counter. I think it's a very good signing. It's a low-risk gamble.
It's free.
Backfire, man.
It is.
Italians love a free signing.
Yeah, and I think you said when this was first mentioned that he's thrived on proving people wrong throughout his career. Came through non-league, went to Leicester, won the league, won the FA Cup, played for England. He's going to prove people wrong in Italy as well.
7 goals at international level.
Yeah.
That's what Cremonese needs.
Exactly.
They're trying to stay up for 2 seasons in a row, so it's going to be epic to see what happens.
because the last time they're up, they're only here for a season. Went back down.
And he's got Franco Vasquez, another young tucker behind him that could pin balls in. He's very good aerially as well. Vardy, still athletic.
Yeah.
He's got the flexibility up forward.
It's good pace. As Emma says, it's good pace, which,
It'll be interesting to see how he goes with Bonazzoli as well, who scored that scissor kick against Milan.
Yeah.
See what Davide Nicola is going to do. He's got a lot of options now.
Yeah.
So
it's Cremonese's squad is very. I said this on Twitter yesterday. It's very reminiscent of Ancona 2003, 2004 vibes. It's a complete mishmash of players. You've got Vardy, Bonazzoli, Franco Vasquez. Then you've got youngblood like Van de Putte.
yeah.
who was playing Serie C with Catanzaro until 2 seasons ago.
I think it's about time that we go to sort of like these vibes team assembled, enough of like signing players because they fit a structure or something like that. Just give us like the likes of Jamie Vardy at 38 running and like defenders in Serie A. That's what we want to see.
Yeah.
All we need now is Wayne Rooney to join Cremonese in January. That
I
would
was
be
going
great.
to say, I like Nicola, but all we need is Nicola to step down and Claudio Ranieri to make a comeback. Ranieri managing Vardy.
Don't know if he's going to come out to live in Cremona, but
Hey,
very nice city.
stranger things have happened.
Well, I mean, Davide Nicola is famously a manager that is always brought in for the last 3 months.
Yeah.
He
He's the Aladici of Serie A.
like he
Salvatore.
he never actually, when he starts a season with the team, he never really does that well. So he could be gone by Christmas, and Ranieri could come in to.
Yeah.
In saying that, Nicola did take Cagliari to a certain level last season.
No, he did. Yeah. I think the one thing about Vardy that I find a bit puzzling is that exciting as his signing is, you look around clubs that are or should be above Cremonese this season, and you're thinking, well, you could do with a striker like Jamie Vardy.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking like Torino, Verona, even Udinese to a point. Of course, Torino have got Shea Adams and Zapata is coming back from injury. But you look at like clubs in the sort of, lower mid-table, lower mid-table region, and you're thinking, you could do with someone like Jamie Vardy, even at 38.
Yeah.
So,
Look, Gazzetta have all their formations up now that the Serie A transfer window is over, and they've slotted him straight in there. And again, Van der Putte, Warren Bondo there as well. So we're going to see how they all gel together. Pezzella, Zed Bin from Napoli is there. Baschedotto's already made an impact scoring against Milan.
Yeah.
So Vardy there just to get the complete set for Davide Nicola.
and he could make his debut away at Verona.
Okay.
Will you remind me who last made his debut away at Verona and had a big a big influence on Italian football.
Diego Maradona,
Yeah,
but nobody
someone
ever.
like
What
him.
they never
No,
did
no,
anything
yeah.
after.
I don't know if
Really.
he had a big influence that day, but yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So hopefully Jamie has a goal scoring debut there. Let's move on. The Calcio merry-go-round on the transfers. Emmet, who have you got?
My first pick is Leon Bailey from Aston Villa. He joined Roma on loan. He had a little bit of an injury hit time last season, missed 7 or 8 games, I think, through various niggling injuries. But I think it could be a very good signing for Roma. He is pacey, dynamic. He likes to tick players on. He reminds me of a very Gasperini type of player. Good at pressing. He's only, 27, 28?
28. Jamaican born.
Yeah, he's actually injured at the minute. He got injured at one of his first training sessions.
Yeah.
But if he stays fit, he could be a very smart move by Roma.
Yeah, he's good. He's a good player. He's as you said, he's great at pressing, which is something Gasperini
Loves.
and demands from his players. And it comes from playing under Unai Emery at Villa, and Unai Emery again is the sort of manager that demands his players to be constantly on their bike, running all the time. And I thought he was one of the best players at Villa for the past. I mean, as you said, not last season because he was injured, but the season before that, it was superb for them. And it's been interesting to see where he slots in Roma, because I think the one thing that has affected Roma adversely over the last couple of seasons, they never had a settled 11. There was this constant, players coming in for 3 games, then going out for another month. And
Yeah.
you need stability, and Gasperini likes turnover as well.
Yeah.
So
And I think, too, you also have, you've obviously Matteo Soler there. You've got Dybala, El Shaarawy. They're not exactly the paciest.
no,
And Bailey would give Roma a bit of injection of pace and dynamism. So
He's got good experience. He's played with Bayer Leverkusen.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
been through Villa. He's
Yeah.
played over 100 games at each. He's scored in
Yeah.
the Champions League. One of the only few Jamaicans to ever do it. So I think that's something that Roma fans can be excited about. Is seeing someone with that kind of experience, that kind of pace, and they need an electrifying someone to go in there. Dybala, obviously, creator. He can take on opponents and create something out of nothing, and then you want those players that are going to start behind the striker.
Sule was brilliant on
Saturday night against Pisa.
Yeah. But by I think the 65th, 70th minute, Dybala was blowing. He looked really, really like it.
Yeah.
Obviously, only the second game of the season, still probably really warm in Italy.
But I think, and that's the thing, Dybala, because how injury prone he's been over the last 3-4 years, he doesn't have 90 minutes in his legs anymore. So I think if you have a situation where you start Dybala, you bring Bailey on, or vice versa, it'll only do, Roma will only benefit.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good move. Obviously, he's injured now, so when he returns, it'll be interesting to see how Gasperini integrates him into the starting 11 if he starts him. But I do think it could turn out to be a very good move.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to agree there. Dan Emmett with some good picks. I'm going to have my first pick, and just stay with us and let us know what you think in the comments of these 2 signings. But we have a World Cup winner coming, and it's a surprise one, and he's having his birthday very, very shortly. But my first pick, Juventus fans will be a little disgruntled with this because he's back in Serie A and he's in the Milan midfield. It's not Modric. It is Adrien Rabiot on deadline day. Joins. It was with a fee, fair enough. He's a high-profile player. Emmet being from the Juventus ilk. I thought he was one of Juventus' best players over the past few years when he was there before he left to go to the League One. But I think he's going to add something to that Milan midfield. He's one of Allegri's soldiers, obviously. Max Allegri at the helm.
Yeah.
With Rossoneri.
Yeah.
And now Adrien Rabiot is 30 years old, I believe. And he's still got a little bit in the tank. And I think he is one of those players that always is a little bit underrated. And I think he's going to add something. Obviously, he's been around. But Milan needs someone that's going to do a job in the midfield. And I think no matter what team, if you're a big enough team that you've got aspirations of making the Champions League or Europe, Rabiot has that experience. He's played in a World Cup final. He's won trophies. He's been around. And he was probably the midfielder, along with maybe Locatelli for a while, that gelled whatever was left of Juventus in those banter years. So, I think Rabiot is going to be decent. What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, Milan are a bit short on experience in midfield. Modric is very young. So I think Rabiot will come in and he'll add a bit of experience. No, all kidding aside, I think if anyone is going to get a tune out of Rabiot, it'll be Maxi, because Allegri loves him. He's an Allegri player, and he will. I watched Rabiot week in and week out for 5 years. I still can't tell you what he's really good at. He's not fast, but he's not slow. He's not
good
brilliant
link-up
at
player.
passing, but he can pass.
He can link, he can run with the ball, he can hold up play.
Yeah.
He's kind of that player that isn't really a number, what did I say? Maybe he's a number 8, and he can play deeper and defend as well. And he's got the height, he's got a big presence,
Yeah.
and he does have the experience. And I think he is a big ego player, and I think that's what Milan need.
I
And with
completely
Jashari
agree.
out, do you think Jashari's injury played a part in this?
I
signing?
think it played a part, but I think you're spot on there. Like, he's a big ego, and Milan need a bit of that. Need a bit of someone who can finally act like we are AC Milan. We are not. I was gonna say we're not a club that gets beaten on by Cremonese in the opening day of the season, but they obviously are.
There's nothing you can do against Bonazzoli.
But I think his presence more than anything else,
Yeah.
and I think the fact that he's Allegri's lieutenant or one of his most trusted lieutenants has definitely played a part in that. Like, Allegri is very much in his sort of phase, the phase of his career. It's like Conte. Like, Conte will sign for Barcelona tomorrow, and his first move will be to bench Lamine Yamal and bring in Lukaku. They've just got, those managers got those players who, like, they need those players around them. The problem I've got with Rabiot is that it's not a bad player, but the baggage that comes with him. I don't know whether it's probably been hyped by the media more than what it is, but like his mum constantly having to chip in with their opinions on football and everything else.
She seems like a feisty character.
Yeah.
his
I'm
mum.
looking forward to that. I want to see.
The thing is, you could see that going terribly pear-shaped
How can we get her on the pod? What do you
between
think?
between Air and Ibra, like
Yeah.
colliding at some point. They may not, but
Well, that's a very good point you make. You know, you and David both, about he brings an ego, and like, we are Milan.
Yeah.
That's something that they haven't had in a player since Zlatan retired.
Yeah.
He was the one that brought back that mentality of we're Milan. We have to win.
I think he's fearless as well, because he's used to going up against big midfielders every week. And I would have more fear if I was going up against Milan, seeing Rabiot out there with Modric and Ricci, for example, instead of Jashari, who's probably unproven. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be played,
Definitely, I know.
but they need results. They need a total change around at Milan.
I also think that having experience in the squad may help young players like Ricci and Jashara to, whenever he comes back from injury, to develop.
And Modric isn't a big goal scorer, neither is Ricci, and Rabiot does score goals. He did score 8 in Serie A in 2022-23, and that's one of the seasons I really remember about him. Is he was I honestly think he was probably the best midfielder in the league that season. Pains me to say for a Juventus player, but yes, I think he was. Obviously, Napoli, went on to win the Scudetto, and they were head and shoulders above the rest. But what I mean is, apart from Napoli, Rabiot, of course, Lobotka and Zielinski and the others were at Napoli.
It's an interesting sign also insofar as that you don't expect him to have much resale value, which is obviously something that Bird will look at.
And they spent 10 million.
Yeah. And also, I read this morning that...
and they spent the most in the market as well, Milan.
Yeah, and apparently they quoted Tottenham 100 million euros for Rafael, and unsurprisingly,
They get the giggle button response.
Laughing emoji.
Yeah, I think those days are gone for Rafael. That was maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah. When just after
PSG
the one
were
the
after him.
Scudetto.
PSG were
Also,
desperate.
I read this on the Independent. Miguel Delaney's excellent newsletter. But it also doesn't sort of speak to the way Milan are run. If you're selling Leao, which is probably their best player,
Yeah, still.
wouldn't you make him available for sale at the start of the summer? Because if you're getting 100 million euros on transfer deadline day, you're not going to be able to spend them on any
No, you're not going to have time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that clubs like Milan, without obligations in Europe, they were only fighting on Coppa Italia front, and
Imagine them selling
I think they can do
Leao
without
on transfer
Rafael.
deadline day with no replacement. That would have sparked a riot.
Well, obviously, that's an indication of their ambition for the year. Okay, we're not going for the Scudetto if we sell Rafael, but we get that 100 mil, we reinvest in January when it's a quieter market. They probably get more bang for their buck in January. Let's move on with another player. Dan, it's back to you on the carousel.
Yeah, another player is actually a player that Milan wanted. Is Manuel Akanji, but it's signed for Inter Milan. Not a flashy signing. I think it's €1 million loan
He's a
fee.
winner. He's a winner.
He's a winner, and he's young, which is something Inter desperately needs at the back.
And he replaces Benjamin Pavard, doesn't he? Who went to Marseille?
Marseille, yeah. Milan wanted Akanji as well. I think they've got an option to buy at €50 million. He's a good player. Akanji played under Guardiola. He's good. He's comfortable with the ball at his feet. Physical enough to handle the Premier League.
He's young for a defender, and still he's experienced enough. He's 30 years old, so he's not super young, but he's young
But
for
when you compare
for a seasoned defender.
of Acerbi and so on, it's a spring chicken. I think
He's an
it's
apprentice.
a smart signing because let's be honest, Inter Milan have gone for very young players this summer, like Sucic and Bonni and
Enrique.
and Diouf in midfield.
And it was needed. They needed a rejuvenation of youth because
And plus, his coach is a very, very good defender. In
Exactly.
His day,
That was going to be my next
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if you are a defender, you're coming into Inter Milan, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to be playing under Christian Chivu.
And he's already said it's the best club in Italy. So he's come in and he's talking well to the Inter fans. He's getting a response there, and I think he's going to be a very valuable
I
player.
like Acerbi as much as anyone else, but you can't see Inter Milan relying on him for much longer.
No. I think you're going to get big performances out of big players like him on occasion. And in the Champions League, I think they might rely on Acerbi a bit more. Maybe in Serie A, give him a rest in Serie A. If they need a personality like him. And he does quite well on specific players. He's intimidating as a player.
He is, yeah.
And we've seen the scuffles he gets into because he's very wordy. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Akanji's like that, but I've watched him quite a lot at City, and he slotted in wherever Guardiola needed him. They're very organised, and obviously City is a possession-based side, and so it's much easier when you're a defender and you're not having to defend all the time. But still, Inter play that brand of football in Italy, and I think that's why he'll fit in.
I
nicely
agree,
at Kivu.
yeah.
And he's won he's won 2 Premier Leagues, he's won a Champions League, and I think that's exactly what Inter need. They're not rebuilding. I think they're a stronger side than they were last season. So especially with Sucic coming in,
I think it's
which we've written about. If you haven't seen
I think
that,
it's a smart move. Like if you bring in young players in midfield, you might want to go for a bit more experience at the back, even though, as you said, he's still young. 30 years old.
Yeah, they'll get at least 15 years out of him at this rate. So
yeah, exactly.
Well, you never know. But with 7 or 8 years, he might be off to AC Milan, crossing the divide.
do the old Clarence Seedorf and Pirlo crossing over the channels.
You remember when Milanello, like Milan Lab, as it was called, was this
revolutionary
approach,
age-defying process.
And it was for its time.
It
but
was,
stayed.
but you were thinking players were like 33, 34.
Yeah.
And now we're talking players in their 40s.
Yeah.
Modric is
Yeah.
Well, I think with modern day technology and the way that they train and they mitigate injuries, things like that, we've come along in the space of 20, 30 years. So let's move on to another player. Emmet, who have you got for us?
I don't know if I'm butchering his name. Lois Openda from RB Leipzig signed for Juventus.
Who did you say?
Lois Openda.
What's that, Dan?
something about Karl-Heinz Rummenigge.
Yeah. I'd give anything to see him make a comeback.
Wouldn't we all?
Yeah, no, Openda's a great player.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of him in Europe,
Yeah.
not really in
Yeah.
the Bundesliga, but very impactful,
Yeah.
pacey, strong.
Yeah.
He's that kind of striker that everyone wanted after Osimhen made his impact at Napoli. So,
Yeah.
what are you thinking of him?
Yeah, so I mean, Juve wanted to bring back Koulibaly all summer, but PSG played hardball with, they were moving the goalposts about. First it was 50 million, then it was 55 million, then it was 60 million. And I think Damien Comole, Juve's new general manager, just said, right, enough's enough. And they pivoted and they brought in Openda on a loan with an obligation to buy or an option to buy. It all only happened yesterday.
Do Juve sign any
Frantic.
players anymore, or is it just like loan after loan after
It's
loan?
just loan after loan. It's basically, it's to spread the payment. It's like loan now, obligation to buy in a year's time. So they've forced the payment a year down the line. So I confess to have not seen a lot of him, but he looks like a pacey player, the type of talent that Juve need. Because Jonathan David is quick, but he's not lightning quick. Kenan Yildiz is quick, but he's not lightning quick. Same as Francisco Conceição. So I think they need someone like Openda in attack that give a bit more variety.
And it's exciting
Yeah.
because they've still got Vlahovic, they've got Jonathan David, and now they've got Openda, who had 2 seasons in a row where he got over 20 goals in the league, one in French league, then German.
Yeah.
He had a quiet period after that, and now he's got new opportunities. So I think he got 9 goals in the league for Leipzig.
Because he played up top with Šeško, didn't he, last season?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. So the ingredients are there for him to do well, and it gives a bit of strength to Juve, a bit of depth. Obviously, they're going to be in 3 competitions this season. So, yeah, I think he could be one to watch this season.
Yeah, loan deal at 3 million, and then the obligation to buy
Obligation
for
to buy.
40. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
So the cash is going to come out one way or the other. It's going to get squeezed out there.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think it's like Juve wanted the striker to replace Vlahovic, but I find it quite interesting now. They've actually now got to the point where they've kept Vlahovic
Yeah.
and they've effectively committed
He
themselves.
scored a goal and everyone jumped on the bandwagon again. That's effectively what happened.
Well,
Well, he scored 2. He scored at the first.
Yeah, okay, but coming off the bench when you're already up and you can cut like, there's a good chance that whoever comes off the bench is going to have more opportunities as legs tire and the rest of it. But then he did score the next week, so kudos to him.
Is there a scenario here? Because, as I think we all assume since January last year that like Juve need to move him on.
He's moving because there's no way you'd sign
But
two
the thing is,
strikers like David
is
and
there,
Openda.
is there a scenario in which by him staying at Juventus and scoring, if he keeps on scoring, then his value like rockets up rather than
Yeah.
It's not going to be a case of Juventus wanted to move him more.
It's a
anymore.
rock and a hard place because they need to play him to keep his value up. But if they play him, they're not playing the others.
I still think that he can work out in their favour though, because if you're a club in any of the European top 5 leagues, but particularly in the Premier League, in Vlahovic starts scoring between now and January.
Yeah.
You can go in January and make an offer because he's been scoring regularly.
Yeah.
If he does.
That's how Juventus bought him, funnily enough.
Well, exactly.
He's on fire at Fiorentina.
So then at that point, Juventus is no longer going to be a case of Juventus wanted to get rid of him. It's just another club wanted to buy him, which is a very different dynamic.
Yeah, and there has been talk of the player and the club coming to an agreement. Look, extend your contract for another couple of years, and then we get more value for you, maybe in January or next summer. But I think
they're all chestnuts. Man United have tried that with pretty much every player they signed for the past 10 years. And look where we are.
Yeah, but as you said, if he gets maybe another 5, 6, 7 goals by January, a Premier League team could come in 20, 25 million.
Milan wanted him, apparently.
Yeah.
Sure.
And they also wanted Dobbik, which is a completely different striker.
I think Milan want everyone that's half decent, but yes. Let's stick with Openda though, because what I think Juventus need an excitement machine up forward. I'm not sure Jonathan David offers that.
Yeah.
And Vlahovic, definitely, I think he's
not
run
the
his
quickest.
course.
Yeah.
Especially with the Juventini fans that are devout, and it's tough because you really want the best for a young striker that comes in, and you want him to flourish, but sometimes it just doesn't work out for different reasons.
No.
And the most worrying, weird thing for me was Vlahovic to Milan with Allegri there again. So maybe Openda, Igor Tudor knows what he's doing. He might get a tune out of all 3 of them. He might be the kind of coach that wants the competition between 3 decent strikers, and hopefully it works out for Juventus fans anyway.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
for those who don't support Juventus, maybe it won't. Hopefully. So let's move on. I've got one, and it's a young player that's just come in from La Liga. He's joined Como. Come on, Emmet. Yeah. Don't think from a Juventus mindset there. Sorry?
Oh, you see, he's joined Como. Oh, there you go.
He's joined Como.
You lost me. I thought it was
It's a
someone
young player.
Okay.
He's going to a place where young players are given a run and they're given a full license to operate. It is, I'm going to say it in Spanish, Jesus Rodriguez. Jesus Rodriguez. So I think he's going to be decent. He hasn't played that much football, to be honest, but he's looked okay in Serie A so far.
When we went to Como Lazio opening day of the weekend, he was fantastic. Yeah. Absolutely. Nico Paz stole the headlines because of his free kick, but Rodriguez was just as good.
Yeah. He loves to find that space in the half spaces, in between lines, and that's what Paz needs in front of him. Not saying he hasn't had that before, because we saw what Strafetta could do previously, but he is a winger that can play either side. He can even play periods of the game sort of as a number 9 as well, and that's what is exciting for Como here. I'm not sure if you've seen much of him, Dan.
I've not seen much of him, no, but I'll take your word. And also, you've got to think that joining a club like Como for a young player must be an exciting prospect. I mean, you look at the likes of Paz, and who's to say that other players
They've got the
follow
blueprint now.
Exactly, they've got the blueprint. Yeah,
Like Sebastian Diao as well.
Yeah.
obviously he's injured at the minute.
Yeah, he's inactive at the moment, but he'll be back and he will be massive because clubs were going in for him. Everton wanted him and were offering stupid
I thought
money,
it was interesting. The Fabregas said last week that his sort of, his vision is to sign young players, and given the choice to sign a Spanish or an Italian player, he would always sign an Italian player.
But he couldn't find them.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Well, we all know that. I mean, it is a hotbed in Spain, and Rodriguez plays for the Spanish under-21 side. To make that side, it's probably better than the Italian senior side. Most of the players in there, especially in that forward line, they've got so much talent up forward, and that's where Italy just doesn't have any anymore. So that's the big difference. And of course, why wouldn't you want to stay in Serie A? You want to bring players in that are going to do well. Yeah, he's done okay before that. He was at Rabiot, and he got 2 goals last season. 3 goals overall in all competitions, and I think he'll do okay. He's only played twice for Como, but I want to see him get more opportunities.
From what I've seen of him, if it's him and Paz in behind the striker, I think he'll do very well this year.
A bit of Duvicas, that ball from Paz. But also, it takes us another play, because you always see third and fourth men. They create space for the two that actually get the ball. So that's why we see the positional play that we do with Guardiola. He loves to spread them out, and everyone's sort of copied him. And not saying Guardiola started that, but you know where I'm going. You need players that are intelligent enough to be unselfish. And I think that's what Fabregas is going to get out of a lot of his players. And I think Como will go pretty well this season. They've won one, lost one. Away lost to Bologna, but a home win against Lazio. 2 very difficult opponents straight up.
And they absolutely demolished Lazio. Lazio never got a sniff all game. They just pressed them to death.
And the way Lazio dismantled Verona makes me think that Verona will not be up to much this season.
I picked them for relegation. So
I think.
I picked them as 20th.
Yeah, so we should probably pay out on that one already.
It's a cert.
Okay, let's move on. Dan, you've got your third player.
Yeah, sorry, this is going to sound really boring, but I've gone with Rasmus Højlund.
It's not boring to me. Especially with the great Diego behind you.
Yeah, I think it's a great signing for Napoli. It's a great signing for Napoli, and it's a great deal for United as well, because it was just not good enough to play for United. And when I say not good enough, I don't mean that he's not a good enough player. I mean not good enough to play in the current circumstances at Man United.
Is any player good enough for that? I mean, we've seen some pretty big players go there. And they've all
for example, like, the likes of, like Brian Mbeumo has played 2 games for United. He's already looked a million miles more suited to play for United than Højlund ever did. I think the fee on Højlund, the fee that Højlund arrived for, set him back from the very start. The fact that he arrived and there was this talk of, he had a sort of a legacy injury with his back. He had a problem with his back, and then he had hamstring issues. He just never felt like he was coming in and was ready to hit the ground running.
I always felt that he moved too early.
It's on United.
One season.
If you're clueless enough to pay, what was it, 75, 80 million for a player that's only scored 9 senior goals for
Serie A.
Serie A side.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's on the club. It's not
completely
on the player.
Yeah.
However, having watched him for 2 seasons, week in, week out, you did see a player that was struggling with self-confidence. He was struggling with even just a simple task of, like a ball comes in, he's not making the right runs. And he's not making the right runs.
Yeah.
The service he got was
communication as well.
Yeah. The service he got was limited, but I don't think he was at the level required to play for United. But Napoli, I think it will be a lot better. First of all, he's not their main striker. He's just there until Lukaku comes back, allegedly anyway. And
surely he's going to be the post-Lukaku, because they wouldn't hold on to Lukaku for much longer. Maybe a season.
Yeah.
The end of the season.
And the way Lorenzo Luca has started, I think Højlund might get more chances than he imagines.
Yeah, Luca has been...
But also, you need cohesion. And to your point, Dan, when you don't have that cohesion, and despite all the big names at United, sometimes it just doesn't work out. You don't get the service. You're not in the right place at the right time. Maybe someone didn't play the pass to you when you needed it. Sometimes you miss a sitter. Everything affects the mindset of players. Now, at Napoli, and it could be about the coach here, because you got Amorim at United, big raps on him. He's come along, big money, big club. He's not working out there. They lost to Grimsby. Let's be honest here.
Although Grimsby did field a player that should not have been fielded, wasn't eligible.
Oh,
that's that.
I'm just saying,
Also, the Grimsby keeper was a United fan.
He said that.
He was gutted that they were knocked out.
Yeah, I had mates in the away end, and on penalties, he turned around and said, I mean, I found in the penalties, one told one down, let one in.
Do us a favour.
Yeah, mate, have a sip. I'll shout you a beer. Let one in.
But no, I get to it. Yeah, right about Ireland. Like, it's not entirely his fault.
It's not, but we're going to see what Conte. To my point,
Yeah.
Conte, we all know how good he is as a coach. I think he's very. He can calculate what he's going to get from a player before he signs them. He saw something in McTominay that United didn't. He's seen something in other players. Like he's obviously knows what De Bruyne is going to bring, and he's been excellent so far. And now you bring in another player that has played for a big club. He's got a big club mentality. That's exactly what Napoli want moving into the next phase of their transition. They're still in transition, Napoli. They're still a medium come large club trying to be a big three, if you know what I mean. And now they've got a very big coach. They need that big game mentality, and they need players that have been there and played in big pressure situations. And Højlund may not have excelled at United, and he might have been better off at a club like, Bournemouth or Nottingham Forest, where there's less pressure. We're going to see what happens, because we all know there's pressure at Napoli. So I don't think Conte would have brought him in if he didn't think he could handle the pressure. And yes, he may be a late signing because they've got an injury to their striker, but he sees something in Højlund.
He did. I think the one thing about Højlund is that throughout his 2 seasons in United, he was under scrutiny from the media, from the fans. And he's always sort of conducted himself brilliantly. You never heard him moaning to him or his agent moaning about the fact that he was not getting enough opportunities, that he was kept on the bench. So he conducted himself brilliantly, unlike a certain Argentine who's also made his way out of United this summer. I think the one thing with Højlund that I'll be wary of is that there is a sense that the fact that he's back in Serie A means that he's going to start scoring like Mark Van Basten in his prime. That's not a guarantee, because, as you said,
Please let that happen.
The
Danish Van Basten.
He only scored 9 goals in his first season for Atalanta.
He's got 10 and then 4 in his 2 seasons at the Premier League.
Yeah.
But he has got 26 goals in all competitions for them. So it wasn't a total failure.
No,
I think
he
he's done
did
okay.
well in the Europa League. But
Is his confidence shot?
his confidence was shot to pieces last season.
Yeah. So,
I've never seen a player with lower confidence than him. He literally did not. He never looked like he would score. It just never looked like he believed he could score a goal.
so is it a case of Conte needs to rebuild his confidence,
He
and
does.
that's going to take time?
Yeah.
He's obviously technically adept, and 95 games at United, 26 goals. They're not the worst stats I've ever seen for a striker.
Yeah.
Especially when you're not the starting striker every single game. A lot of those will be sort of off the bench. I'm not saying a lot, like a lot.
He
but
started
20, 30
he
of those.
He started a lot more games still than any other striker at United.
Really?
Yeah, because it was always up top. Because he had Xerxes playing in behind him. But I think he'll do well in Napoli. But I still think it's a really good deal for Napoli, because Napoli have got like a 40 million euros obligation to buy if they finish in the Champions League, which they will.
Which hopefully they do, yeah.
Um,
And Zigzag coming over in January, there will be a good one at Emmet.
yeah, they may do. They may do. You never know. I mean,
I'm upset that Garnacho didn't make his way to Naples. So
Yeah.
should we move on to the next one, Emmet? Who have you got as your third pick? We've got 2 more to go.
As the resident Irishman, I went for Evan Ferguson at Roma. Obviously second Roma pick, but I think he's did really well. Obviously on loan from Brighton. Is it an obligation to buy, or is it an option to buy?
it's an option to buy, I think.
Option to buy. So considering he's did really well in his opening 2 games, Roma might actually think about buying him. Obviously it's still early days, but I think his all-round contribution is what Romanisti really like so far. He's run the challenge. He's big. He's strong. He's got a good first touch. He offers a lot more. He's more in tune with what Gasperini wants from his strikers rather than Dovbyk, who was basically flung around to any European club that would maybe have him this summer, but he ended up staying. As memory serves, I don't think he went anywhere.
No, he stayed, yeah.
But I think Ferguson will do well. If he stays fit, I think he'll do well. He's a kind of player, Serie A, the kind of striker Serie A doesn't really have a lot of strong, quick, powerful, bit like Lukaku, but obviously Lukaku's a lot older now. So I do think Evan Ferguson will do well. If he stays fit, he might not get 20 goals, but I think his all-round game in contribution to the goals that he will get will do very well
What
for
is a
Roma.
successful season for him? I think getting to double figures is good enough. 10 goals to be a success. It's a hot piazza, as they say in Italy, where Roma, there's a lot of
pressure on Rome.
heat. Yeah, and
I just feel like Roma haven't had a prolific striker in about 20 years.
Yeah.
So
Since Xhaka, I think, was their last. Like,
Yeah, Xhaka, yeah.
and that was what he left. What 6, 7, 8
Yeah.
years ago.
Ferguson, I mean, when he burst onto the scene, what, 3 seasons ago in the Premier League, 2 seasons ago?
under De Zerbi, he was an
Yeah,
apprentice.
he
really good.
looked unbelievable.
Yeah.
Then obviously he's had lots of injuries. It was linked with like Liverpool, Arsenal, United, and all the rest of it. What's a successful season for him? I weirdly have a feeling that he's going to score more in the Europa League than he will in Serie A. I watched him against Pisa on Saturday night, and I agree with them that he brings a lot to the team, like his sort of link-up play and all the rest of it. But I think he also is the sort of player that could end up doing what Højlund did at United, which was his downfall of like getting involved in like constantly banging into defenders just to like assert his physical presence. Where instead he's got the pace. You should not be wrestling with defenders, just running behind them.
Yeah.
That is the thing that Højlund didn't do at United enough. And Ferguson, I have a feeling he may get dragged down into that because obviously it's that big, like he's got defenders all over him. But I don't think he needs to engage in like in a wrestling match with them. Just running
It's almost
them.
like you're sacrificing yourself
Yeah.
for the good of the team.
Yeah.
How does Gasperini want to play him? Do you think with Bailey now in there, with Dybala, Sule, players like that, do you think he wants him to hold the ball up and wait for them to run off? Or
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I suppose you could play it both ways. You could play it that way, or you could play it in behind on the counter, depending on the opposition.
could
Of
he
course.
stunt there over the top?
Yeah.
But I think that if you're playing him just as sort of like as the sort of target man that receives the ball with his back to goal and then has to like spread pass around.
Yeah.
I don't think that works for him because he's that quick, he's that dynamic.
Yeah.
You want him to run the defenses.
Yeah, it's probably not maximizing the most of his talent
Yeah.
if you're just looking him to be a hold-up man, link it off.
Yeah.
You, as Dan said, you want him to run in behind. But I do think he is the type of centre forward that Gasperini loves, a bit like Dusan Zapata at Atlanta. That type of strong physical, can run in behind, has a lot of variation in his game. So I think he'll do very well. I'd say if he gets anywhere between 12 and 15 goals in all competitions, that'll be a good, productive season.
What I do like for Roma, and I think you might be on the money there, is that with the Europa League and Conference League and competitions like this, it does give a chance for strikers to maybe dip their toe in there, get a couple of goals, get their confidence up, because let's be honest, the defenses are a little weaker there. Even the Italian teams, they seem to play a more open game in the European competitions where they want to score goals. They go out there with intention. We think we're better than them, we're going to go for it. Whereas when they play each other at home, or when they play, Real Madrid, for example, they're very cagey. So there's an option here for Ferguson to go out there and get goals. And even for players like Dobbik, we've seen Shomurodov do it as well when he was at Roma.
I have a feeling that Roma will make a good run the Coppa Italia as well for some reason. I have absolutely no concrete basis for this, but I've just got a sense that like the likes of Dybala, Ferguson, Sule, and Gasp on the bench.
So what you're
That
saying
is a
is,
Coppa Italia field.
because they've got a lot up top now, they've got the options and they can compete on more fronts. I think that's basically what I get out of that. And I have to agree with my translation of exactly what you've said there.
Yeah.
So you're spot on. You articulated that a lot better than I did.
But I just hope he stays fit. I think that's the main thing. If he stays fit, he'll do very well.
I think Gasperini helps that too, because I don't think he's keen on Dobbik at
No,
all.
I think he's not his type of striker whatsoever.
In the Premier League, he didn't quite make it to 100 games in 4 seasons, Ferguson. And it wasn't through not being good enough. It was through being unavailable.
Yeah. And he's only young. He's what, 20? 20 years old? 21?
He is 21 in October.
Okay, so yeah, he's got time on his side, but hopefully he stays fit and healthy. And if he does, I think he'll do very well for Roma.
Yeah.
So he's my third pick.
Speaking of birthdays, my third pick.
Let me
Happy
guess.
birthday,
September
Raul
4th.
Albiol. 40 Albiol turns today, and he has joined Pisa. And I think this could be key to them having some chance of staying up if they stay up.
That's not really a high bar. I mean, some chance to stay up, but yeah, fair enough.
They've increased their chances of staying up by, I think, it's double now. So what it was, which is pretty low. Yeah. I think we all picked Pisa to be going down. So I think Raul Albiol, he's got that experience. He's been amongst La Liga's best defenders over the past 3 or 4 seasons since he left Naples. that partnership he had with Koulibaly at Napoli was exceptional. He's an exceptional player, and he is that World Cup winner that we were speaking about at the start of the pod. So
Big reveal.
the big reveal. And he's 40 today, so congratulations to Raul Albiol. And well done on your return to Serie A, wearing the Pisa shirt there, Dan. And, for that reason, I had to go with a Pisa player. And I think he's going to be okay. What do you guys think? Albiol back in?
Well, I suppose Albiol's arrival means that Garibaldi is no longer the oldest thing in Pisa now.
True. So there's another element to the signing. And
experience, fair enough. I said it on the pod last week. I don't get Serie A clubs going for players that are old.
Albiol versus Vardy, that's going to be huge.
Yeah, I wouldn't fancy Albiol's chances.
Vardy's 39 in January, just so
Yeah.
you know. So we're going to reduce the gap in age so that they can...
No, I know.
Vardy's very quick still.
Pisa and Cremonese bringing the average age of Serie A teams down.
Up to where Lazio's and Inter's have been.
Look, let's be honest here. You can see why they're signing him because he's got experience, as you said. Playing in Serie A, play at the highest level. You don't win a World Cup just by being a passenger.
789 league games, and he's spent the last 6 seasons in La Liga.
There is a lot of miles.
That's a lot of miles on the clock there,
Yeah.
and maybe.
Yeah.
Look, he's definitely in the winter of his career, but we have seen other epic defenders. I'm not going to put him in the same category as Costa Curta's and Maldini's, but they did play into their early 40s. I believe Costa Curta was up there, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
39,
Maldini
40.
was 41. Costa Curta was 300.
So it is possible to play as a defender and still be class. At
Yeah.
least be able to pass down your knowledge to whoever's there. So
I do. To be fair, all jokes aside, I do think he could do a job for Pisa.
Yeah, as do I.
Yeah,
when I saw him, it was a sentimental favourite, taking me back.
I do wonder though but this is nothing to do with Pisa or Albiol specifically. This is a sort of wider discourse about the direction of travel in Italian football. What does it say that you come up from Serie B and you are signing a 39-year-old defender on deadline day?
They don't have the money. And Albiol...
But surely there's got to be someone younger. And
I think that's the point. Surely, why not? If you're going to sign someone,
if
go
you're going to
someone
take a
younger
gamble,
rather
take a
than
gamble on someone young.
yeah.
If I was in charge of Pisa, if I was Gilardino, for example, and I thought, how are we going to mitigate the flow of goals against us? Because we all know that the bottom 5 teams, they always hemorrhage goals.
Yeah.
A good 60 or 70 each season. So if he can keep that down, and they've had a decent start, a couple of results there, I think he just needs someone to come in and just that equilibrium, that calm, because he can be feisty at the back, but he is a calm defender. His essence is. And at the back there with Caracciolo and Canestrelli that are coming up from Serie B, you kind of need that old head that has the experience. He's won a World Cup.
And I suppose, in a sense, he was never the quickest anyway. Koulibaly was always the quicker one of that duel. Yeah. So it's not like he had pace to lose.
Yeah,
I guess I'm just a bit. No, I guess.
Pace to lose. Get that tattooed.
That's what it says when he runs for a bus in Wimbledon.
If only he had pace, I would have made that bus.
I guess I'm just bitter because obviously we must have gone through a phase where we missed out on the likes of Enrico Noni coming back from Celtic to sign for like Avellino at the tender age of 39, or Pasquale Bruno coming back from like Heart of Midlothian who could have played. So surely he could.
Okay, Albiol's a different caliber, surely, and he's not up there with the best defenders to ever play the game, but he is one of the best defenders of the past 15 years, you would say, in club football.
Ooh, that's a big call.
That's one of the best. I'm not saying he's top 10 or even top 30, but he is class.
He's
He's won a World Cup.
Consummate. To be fair, so was Christian Zagardo.
And he was class until that own goal. But that ruined him. That one thing ruined him. And after that, he was a laughing stock. So.
I would say Albiol is a consummate pro.
It's a solid 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah. And he could do a job for Pisa.
It's a shame to me that players like Albiol never won the Scudetto. He's one of those players like a Koulibaly and Mertens that you always wished would have won the Scudetto there. And he very nearly did back in 2018.
Speaking of Mertens, sorry to completely hijack this, but you're going to love this because Stefan Schwach said that the only modern player he's recognized himself in history is Mertens.
Really? Both former Napoli icons?
Yeah. I read that in an interview because he was talking about Massimo Coda who beat his record in Serie B.
Well, that's a good segue because behind Emmet is the Massimo Coda shirt with the number 9, Sampdoria. He's just beaten Stefan Schwach's Serie B record for goals, 136. He has scored now, Coda. The record for a while was Schwach with 135. They were both on 135 for a while. Before, I think the third highest now is Daniele Caccia. Remember him?
With 134.
Yeah, so that is something to at least some can be optimistic that at least they've got something positive.
There's like brighter days ahead. That's right.
So I guess if we were playing 9-a-side football, it wouldn't be a bad 9 names that we've mentioned there. No. We're going to see if they can make a difference. That is our list of 9 names that we think are going to do well in Serie A this year. Brand new signings, brand new faces, a couple of oldies returning. But let us know what you think in the comments. Did we get some right and did we miss any out? Let us know.